The Galactic Council had met for 3,000 years without any real excitement. 12 alien species gathered in the great crystal halls of Station Meridian. They talked about trade. They argued about borders. They complained about old problems that nobody really wanted to fix. It was boring, but it was safe. Everyone knew their place. Everyone followed the rules. Ambassador his body was made of pale blue skin that glowed softly when he spoke. He had led these meetings for 200 years and he had seen everything, or so he thought. He sat in his floating chair, half listening to the representative complain about mining rights. There were insect-like creatures with hard shells and clicking voices. They always wanted more territory, more resources, more power. The representative was speaking now, demanding payment for some ancient insult. They were tall and thin, with silver skin and too many eyes. They never forgot anything, especially things that made them angry. Was about to call for a vote when the station's alarm system activated. Every light in the chamber turned red. Every screen flickered. A cold, mechanical voice spoke in 17 languages at once. Warning, unidentified vessel approaching, size unknown, mass exceeds sensor limits, recalculating. The chamber fell completely silent, had never heard those words before. Exceeds sensor limits. That was not possible. The station's sensors could detect anything. They could measure the mass of a moon from 1,000 light-years away. Show us, commanded. The holographic display in the center of the chamber activated. At first, there was nothing but empty space, stars, the distant glow of a nebula. Then something began to emerge from fold space. Fold space was how ships traveled faster than light. It was like tearing a hole in reality and stepping through to another place. But this was not a ship. This was a mountain. The thing that came through fold space was so large that the display could not show all of it. It was dark, darker than the space around it. It seemed to swallow light itself. And it was covered in weapons. Rows and rows of cannon barrels. Missile tubes by the hundreds. Energy projectors that glowed with barely contained power. That is not possible, said Counselor of the. His shell was clicking rapidly now, a sign of extreme fear. Nothing that big can travel through fold space. The energy needed would drain a star. Nobody answered him. They were all staring at the display. The massive vessel's lights came on. First one row, then another, then another. The lights stretched across a hull that seemed to go on forever. It was like watching a city wake up, a city built for war. Then came the message. A human face appeared on every screen in the chamber. It was a young woman with black hair and dark eyes. She wore a uniform of black and silver. Her face was calm. Her voice was steady. She did not look afraid at all. This is Fleet Admiral of the Terran Republic Navy. I command the vessel Unconquerable. We come in peace. We would like to talk. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Tried to find words, but his mind was empty. He had studied humans. Everyone had studied humans. They were a young species from a small planet in a quiet corner of the galaxy. They had only discovered fold space 40 years ago. They were supposed to be primitive. They were supposed to be weak. They were not supposed to have that. The Dominion representative was the first to recover. He was a massive creature covered in black scales, with eyes like red fire. The Dominion was the most powerful empire in the Council. They had conquered dozens of species. They feared nothing. But even he looked uncertain now. How many crew on that vessel? He asked. His voice was deep and rough, like stones grinding together. The station's computer answered. Scanning indicates approximately 18,000 life signs, all human. 18,000. That was the population of a small city, all on one ship, all ready for war. Counselor made a sound like breaking glass. In his species, this meant terror. We need to arm the station defenses. We need to call for reinforcements. We need to do nothing, interrupted. His voice was shaking, but he forced himself to stay calm. She said they come in peace. She said they want to talk. And you believe her? Demanded. Looked at the display again. The human vessel hung in space like a sleeping god. Its weapons were powered but not aimed. Its shields were up but not aggressive. Everything about its position said the same thing. We are not attacking, but we could. I believe, said slowly, that if they wanted us dead, we would already be dead. A species that can build something like that does not need to lie. They do not need tricks or games. If Admiral says she wants to talk, then she wants to talk. He turned to face the council. Every representative was staring at him, some with fear, some with anger, some with confusion, but all of them were waiting for him to decide. Open a channel, commanded. Tell Admiral that the Galactic Council welcomes her. Tell her we are ready to listen. The communication officer obeyed. A moment later, Admiral's face appeared again. She smiled. It was a small smile, almost sad. Thank you, Ambassador. We have waited a long time for this moment. Permission to send a delegation aboard your station. Took a deep breath. Whatever happened next would change everything. The galaxy would never be the same. Permission granted, he said. And somewhere in the darkness of space, the unconquerable waited. 40 years ago, humanity was nothing special. A survey ship had found Earth by accident. The small blue planet was home to a young species that had just started playing with nuclear power. They had sent machines to their moon. They were building space stations. By galactic standards, they were bobbies taking their first steps. The observer was named. He was assigned to watch Earth and report any progress. Standard procedure said that primitive species needed at least 300 years to develop fold space technology. Expected to spend his entire career watching humans slowly figure out basic physics. He was very, very wrong. In the first year, humans discovered the observation probe. Instead of panicking, they captured it. Instead of destroying it, they studied it. Within 6 months, they had learned more about alien technology than thought possible. He sent a worried report to his superiors. They told him not to worry. All young species made fast progress at first. They would slow down eventually. They did not slow down. By year 5, humans had built their first faster-than-light communication system. By year 8, they were experimenting with fold space engines. Their first prototype exploded and killed 47 scientists. Thought this would stop them. He thought they would become afraid and give up. The next month, they built another prototype. This one exploded too, and the next one, and the one after that. Each time, humans died. Each time, other humans stepped forward to try again. Could not understand it. His people would have abandoned such a dangerous project after the first failure. Why did humans keep trying? He found the answer in their history books. Humans had always been like this. When their ships sank, they built better ships. When their planes crashed, they built better planes. When their rockets exploded, they built better rockets. Failure was not an ending for humans. It was a lesson. Every death was a price they were willing to pay for progress. By year 11, they succeeded. A human ship named the Pioneer made the first fold space jump. It was small and slow and burned out its engine after one trip, but it worked. Sent an emergency message to the Galactic Council. Something unprecedented was happening. A species that should have taken centuries to reach the stars had done it in just over a decade. The Council did not listen. They were too busy with their own problems. By the time they paid attention, it was too late. By year 15, humanity had colonized 4 star systems. They built stations and cities and shipyards with terrifying speed. They made alliances with 2 minor species that the Council had ignored. They created new technologies that even they did not understand. And then they met the Imperium was old and proud and cruel. They had conquered many species over the centuries. They believed that strength was the only law that mattered. When they found a human mining colony on the edge of their territory, they saw easy prey. 3 warships appeared above the colony world. They did not send warnings. They did not make demands. They simply opened fire. 3,000 humans died in less than an hour. Men, women, children, families who had traveled across the stars looking for a better life. All of them burned to ash by weapons. The expected surrender. They expected the humans to beg for mercy, to offer tribute, to accept their place as a lesser species. This was how the galaxy worked. The strong took, the weak gave. Simple. But the humans did not surrender. They did not beg. They did not even negotiate. Instead, they did something the galaxy had never seen before. They got angry, not the cold political anger of empires, not the calculated rage of military commanders. This was something deeper, something primal, something that came from the very core of what it meant to be human. They called it the reckoning. Human scientists worked without sleep for weeks. They tore apart captured technology and rebuilt it better. Human factories produced warships at a rate that should have been impossible. Human soldiers trained and prepared and waited. 6 months after the colony massacre, the human fleet arrived at the first fortress world. The battle lasted 4 hours. When it was over, the fortress was rubble. The humans moved to the second fortress world, then the third. Each battle was faster than the last. Each victory was more complete. They had spent centuries building their defenses. The humans destroyed them in weeks. Finally, the Emperor sent a message begging for peace. He offered treasure, territory, slaves, anything the humans wanted. Admiral, commander of the human fleet, sent back a simple reply. He did not want treasure or territory or slaves. He wanted only one thing. Remember them. They were ordered to build a memorial on there. 3,000 names carved in stone. 3,000 lives that they had ended. The memorial would stand forever. Every child would learn about it. Every leader would see it. The humans did not want to conquer they wanted to remember what cruelty cost. The galaxy watched in silence. This was not how wars ended. This was not how power worked. But the humans did not care about how things were supposed to work. They never had. And now, 40 years later, they had built the unconquerable. A ship so massive that it broke the laws of physics. A ship that carried enough firepower to crack a planet in half. They had built it because they remembered too. They remembered being weak. They remembered being prey. They remembered 3,000 names carved in stone. And they had sworn that it would never happen again. The shuttle that carried Admiral to Station Meridian was small and simple. It had no weapons, no shields, just a basic transport craft painted in the colors of the Terran Republic. This was intentional. Wanted the Council to see that humans could be humble, that they did not need to show off their power at every moment. The unconquerable was still visible through every window on the station, blocking out the stars like a wall of iron and fire. That was enough of a message. Walked through the station corridors with 3 officers behind her. Captain was her tactical commander. He was tall and quiet, with gray hair and eyes that missed nothing. He had fought in the war. He had seen things that still gave him nightmares, but his face showed nothing. He was a soldier, and soldiers did not show fear. Commander was Chief of Intelligence. She was small and sharp, with short black hair and a quick smile that never reached her eyes. She knew secrets about every species in the galaxy. She knew which leaders could be trusted and which ones were planning betrayal. Her job was to protect humanity from threats it did not see coming. Lieutenant was the youngest of the group. He was barely 25 years old, but he had already earned a place on the bridge of the unconquerable. His parents had died in the massacre. His little sister, too. He had grown up in an orphanage, raised by the state, driven by a quiet fire that never went out. The council chamber was huge. The ceiling was so high that clouds formed near the top. The walls were made of crystal that glowed with soft light. 12 platforms floated in a circle, each one holding a representative from a different species. They all stared at the humans, walked to the center of the chamber and stopped. She looked up at the council members one by one, the with their glowing blue skin, the with their clicking shells, the with their many eyes, the Dominion representative with his scales like black glass. "Thank you for receiving us," said. Her voice was calm and clear. "I know our arrival was unexpected. I know our ship is alarming. But we did not come here to threaten you. We came here to ask a question." Ambassador leaned forward on his platform. "What question?" "Can we be friends?" The chamber was silent. This was not what anyone expected. They expected demands, threats, a show of force, not a simple question asked in a simple voice. Counselor spoke first. His voice was harsh and suspicious. "Friends, you bring a warship the size of a moon and you speak of friendship." "Yes," said, "because friendship is exactly what we need." She gestured to Commander, who activated a holographic display. The Unconquerable appeared in perfect detail, rotating slowly so everyone could see its full size. "This ship has 12 singularity cores," explained. "Each one contains a captured black hole. The energy output is enough to power a civilization. The weapons array can destroy a planet in a single shot. The shields can withstand the death of a star." The council members shifted uncomfortably. Hearing the specifications was even more terrifying than seeing the ship itself. "We built this," continued, "because we were afraid. 40 years ago we were nothing, a small species on a small planet. Then we discovered we were not alone. And then we discovered that the galaxy was not kind." She looked directly at Counselor. The representative could not meet her eyes. 3,000 of our people died because someone decided we were weak. We built the Unconquerable to make sure that never happens again. But here is the truth that keeps me awake at night. Here is the question I cannot answer." She paused. When she spoke again, her voice was softer, sadder. "What do we do now? We have power. We have strength. We have ships that can break worlds. But what is the point of all that power if we have no one to share it with? What is the point of surviving if we are alone?" Captain stepped forward. "We spent 40 years preparing for war. We got very good at it, but war is not why we exist. War is not what we want to be." Lieutenant spoke for the first time. His voice was young but steady. "My family died in the attack. I have every reason to hate, every reason to want revenge, but revenge is empty. It does not bring back the dead. It does not heal the wound. The only thing that heals is building something better." The Dominion representative finally spoke. His voice was deep and cold. "And if we refuse, if we decide that you are too dangerous to trust?" Turned to face him. She did not blink. She did not look away. "Then we leave. We find other allies, other friends. We continue on our path as we always have. But I would ask you to consider something." She pointed at the holographic display, at the Unconquerable, hanging in the void like a promise of destruction. "We built that ship to protect ourselves. Every weapon exists because somewhere in our history we were hurt, we were hunted, we were prey. But power without purpose is just violence, and violence without meaning is just madness." She lowered her hand. "We are not looking for enemies. We have enough of those. We are looking for a reason to put down our weapons, a reason to build something other than warships." She smiled. It was small and tired and completely genuine. "We are looking for hope. Can you give us that?" The chamber was silent for a long, long time. The council members to a private chamber to discuss their decision. The crystal walls blocked all sound. The doors sealed with a heavy click. For the first time in 3,000 years, the Galactic Council was truly afraid. Counselor spoke first. His shell was clicking so fast it sounded like rain on metal. "We cannot trust them. Did you hear what they said? Singularity cores, weapons that can destroy planets, shields that can survive a star exploding. This is madness. They are monsters." Monsters you created, Ambassador replied. His blue skin flickered with cold light. You attacked their colony. You killed their people. Did you really think there would be no consequences? That was 40 years ago. A different emperor made that decision. I was not even born. And yet you sit in his chair. You wear his title. You benefit from his conquests. Shook his head. The humans do not care about time. They care about justice. You should be grateful they only asked for a memorial. A counselor raised 3 of her 7 hands. This argument is pointless. The past is done. We must focus on the future. The question is simple. Do we let the humans join our council, or do we turn them away? Turning them away seems unwise, said a representative from the collective, a species of connected minds that spoke with one voice. If they leave, they will find other allies. They will grow stronger while we grow weaker. Eventually, they will return, and next time they may not be asking politely. The Dominion representative had been silent throughout the debate. Now he spoke, and everyone listened. The Dominion was the largest empire in the galaxy. When they spoke, others obeyed. You are all missing the point, he said. His red eyes moved slowly across the chamber. The humans are not threatening us. They are not demanding anything. They showed us their most powerful weapon and then asked if we could be friends. This is not the behavior of conquerors. Then what is it? Demanded. Loneliness. The Dominion representative's voice was quiet, almost thoughtful. They built a mountain of metal and fire because they were scared, and now they are standing in the ruins of their fear, wondering what to do next. They do not want to fight. They want someone to tell them that fighting is not necessary. Stared at him. The Dominion was famous for conquest and manipulation. Hearing them speak about loneliness was strange, wrong somehow. You sound almost sympathetic, said carefully. The Dominion representative smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. I am practical. The humans have shown us their strength. Any fool can see that attacking them would be suicide, but they have also shown us their weakness. They care. They want connection. They want purpose. These are things that can be used. Used how? That remains to be seen. The Dominion representative waved one scaled hand. For now, I suggest we accept their offer. Let them join the council. Let them believe they have found friendship and purpose. And we will watch. We will learn. We will wait. Felt a chill run through his body. The Dominion was planning something. He could feel it, but he could not refuse their logic. The humans were too powerful to reject, too dangerous to insult. Very well, said, let us vote. The vote was held in the traditional way. Each representative spoke their choice aloud. There were no secrets in this chamber, no hiding behind anonymous ballots. The voted yes, the voted yes, the collective voted yes. One by one, the species of the galaxy made their choice. Counselor hesitated for a long moment. His shell clicked and scraped. Finally, with visible pain, he spoke. Yes, the vote yes. Only 2 species voted no. Small nations with old fears and older grudges. Their voices did not matter. The Dominion representative smiled again. The Dominion abstains. We neither support nor oppose. We simply observe. It was done. The vote was clear. Humanity was now a member of the Galactic Council. Returned to the main chamber where Admiral and her officers were waiting. They stood perfectly still, faces calm, giving nothing away, but could see the tension in their shoulders, the worry in their eyes. They wanted this. They needed this, and they were terrified of being rejected. Admiral announced formally, the Galactic Council has made its decision. By a vote of 9 in favor, 2 opposed, and 1 abstaining, the Terran Republic is hereby welcomed as the 13th member of this body. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Lieutenant closed his eyes and let out a breath he had been holding for too long. Commander's sharp smile finally reached her eyes. Captain nodded once slowly, like a man putting down a heavy weight. Admiral smiled, a real smile, a young smile. For just a moment, she was not the commander of the most powerful warship in existence. She was just a woman who had received good news. "Thank you," she said, her voice cracked slightly. "Thank you, you will not regret this." Looked at her. He looked at the officers behind her. He thought about the massive ship outside, waiting in the darkness. He hoped she was right, because somewhere in the back of his mind, he could feel the Dominion representative watching, calculating, planning. The galaxy had just changed forever, and nobody knew what would happen next. The celebration lasted 3 days. Station Meridian had never seen anything like it. Species that had been enemies for centuries found themselves sharing drinks with humans. Creatures that had never spoken to each other discovered common interests. The rigid formality of the council dissolved into something almost warm, almost friendly. Lieutenant sat in the station's main gathering hall, surrounded by a group of children. They were small and curious, with silver skin and eyes that blinked in patterns he could not understand. He was teaching them a human game. "Rock beats scissors," he explained, making a fist. "Scissors beat paper." He extended 2 fingers. "Paper beats rock." He flattened his hand. "Simple, you try." The children tried. They failed. They laughed. They tried again. Within an hour, the game had spread across the station. Diplomats were playing it in the corridors. Engineers were betting on the results. Even a Dominion guard was caught making a paper sign when he thought no one was looking. Captain found himself in a deep conversation with a group of scientists. They had cornered him near the engineering displays, desperate to understand human technology. "The singularity cores," one of them said, his shell clicking with excitement. "The math is impossible. A contained black hole should destroy anything it touches. The gravitational forces alone would tear your ship apart. How do you keep it stable?" Shrugged. "We failed 17 times before we got it right. 17 catastrophic failures, total destruction." "Mostly." They stared at him. "And you kept trying after 17 disasters." Smiled. It was a tired smile full of memories. "Our species has a saying, if at first you do not succeed, try again, and again, and again, until you win or until you die. Giving up is not in our nature." "That is insane." "Yes," agreed. "It probably is, but it works." In a quiet corner of the station, Commander sat alone. She watched the celebration through a window, her face unreadable. An observer approached and settled beside her. His blue skin pulsed with gentle curiosity. "You do not celebrate with the others," he noted. "This is a great victory for your people, a historic moment." Nodded slowly. "It is, but I cannot stop thinking about what comes next. We spent so long building weapons, training soldiers, preparing for enemies. Now we have been accepted. Now we have friends. What do we do with all that preparation? What do we become when we do not need to fight?" They considered this for a long moment. "Perhaps you learn to build other things. Ships that explore instead of destroy. Cities that grow instead of fortify. Perhaps you discover who you are when you are not afraid." Laughed. It was a short, surprised sound. "That is a nice thought, but humans have always been afraid. It is how we survive. Fear keeps us sharp. Fear keeps us ready." "Then perhaps," they said gently, "you learn that being ready is not the same as being afraid. Perhaps you find a way to be strong without being scared." Looked at him. Really looked at him. For the first time in years, she allowed herself to consider a future that was not built on preparation for disaster. "Perhaps," she said quietly, "perhaps we do." On the observation deck of the Unconquerable, Admiral stood alone. The station was visible below, tiny and bright against the darkness of space. Beyond it, the gathered ships of the Council floated in peaceful formation. Cruisers, battleships, explorers, all of them dwarfed by the human vessel, all of them trusting that the humans would not turn their weapons on them. His communicator chimed, a message from Earth, from the Terran Republic Senate. She opened it. "Congratulations, Admiral. The Council has voted to begin formal integration. You have achieved what generations of diplomats could not. How does it feel? Thought about her grandfather. He had fought in the war. He had seen friends die. He had watched colonies burn. He had carried anger in his heart until the day he died. But he had also taught her something important. Anger is a fire, he had said. It can warm you or it can burn you. The choice is yours. She thought about the memorial on the 3,000 names carved in stone, 3,000 lives that ended too soon. She had visited it once, standing in the rain, reading each name until her eyes could not see any more. She thought about Lieutenant, teaching alien children to play rock, paper, scissors. About Captain, explaining human stubbornness to amazed scientists. About Commander, slowly learning that peace was not the same as weakness. She typed her reply to the Senate. It feels like a beginning. Below her, in the common areas of the unconquerable, human and alien voices mixed together. Arguments about physics, jokes that did not translate, music from a dozen worlds playing at the same time. It was loud and confusing and beautiful. The unconquerable had been built for war. Its guns could shatter moons. Its shields could withstand fleets. It was the most dangerous weapon humanity had ever created. But maybe, thought, it would be remembered for something else. Maybe it would be remembered as the bridge, the first step, the moment when humans stopped being alone and started being part of something bigger. She smiled and turned away from the window. And somewhere in the darkness beyond the station, the Dominion representative sat in his private chamber. He reviewed the data his spies had collected. Human strengths, human weaknesses, human hopes and fears and dreams. They were interesting, these humans, strong and dangerous and strange. But everyone had a weakness. Every species could be broken if you found the right pressure point. The humans wanted friendship. They wanted purpose. They wanted to believe that the galaxy was kind. The Dominion representative smiled. It was not a nice smile. They would learn better, eventually. The galaxy was about to become very interesting.